Siomra beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sherlock. Sure Listen, the podcast that takes a pop at culture.
Sherlock, sure listen. Sherlock, sure listen.
Sherlock, sure listen.
Sherlock, sure listen.
Sherlock, sure listen.
Sherlock, sure listen.
Sherlock, sure listen. Oh, very exciting, Benjamin. Sure, look, we've got so average amount of things to get through this week. So let's get down to it. For example, the WGAs, the WGAs, Ben, are they still on strike or are they off strike by the time this is out? Who knows? Speaking of who knows, did I even watch the trailer for Percy Jackson and the Olympians? I don't remember. I think I did, but I might not have. And there's another trailer for My Dream Scenario, Ben, which is a movie about Nicolas Cage being in everyone's dreams. And another trailer for a new Netflix docudrama thing about Are There Aliens? But not only that, Benjamin, I have also seen the film No One Will Save You, a.k.a. There's Aliens in Your Gaff.
Michael, if that wasn't enough, what would you do if there was a pack of vampire hunters in your gaff?
Depends. Am I a vampire in this scenario?
Yes.
Panic. I'd absolutely just panic.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's pretty bad, isn't it, if you've got a bunch of vampire hunters in your gaff and you're a vampire. I tell you what, Michael, that's the exact 1,000-year-long scenario that's been going on in the Castlevania games for so long. And we're going to take a look at how all that started.
Very good, Benjamin. As an analogy, Ben, how would you feel as a human if your gaff was full of human hunters?
I mean, pretty bad. I'd have pretty poor chances of survival, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the plot of the film No One Will Save You. But we'll get to that later, Ben, because first of all, you're going to tell us what's going on with the WGA strikes. That nearly works. What's going on?
So, Michael, in a big old win for the proletariat, or almost
not the
win.
Proles. Another blow struck against the brave capitalists of film production.
Yes, the brave, weak-spined capitalists, it turns out, Michael, because they've conceded on certain key issues in the Writers Guild of America strike, the WGA strike. So today news broke, yesterday evening news broke at the time of recording, that there is a tentative deal on the table to end a 146-day strike.
So long.
Yeah, this has affected everything, Michael, because new episodes of stuff couldn't be written. Huge shows like The Last of Us, Billions, which is a show we have nothing to do with, Michael. But it is very...
Never even heard of it.
It's on HBO. There's Paul Giamatti, who you asked me to do an impression of earlier in the week.
How's that coming along?
I couldn't do. It's not great. It's not great.
Oh, it's coming along, though.
It's getting there. I have had to watch what anyone would deem a heft of Paul Giamatti related content.
Just watch Lady in the Water on loop.
It's mostly Lady in the Water and a good heaping dose of Sideways.
Oh, yeah. He's not having that fucking Merlot. Ben, tell us about the SAG-AFTRA strike, though.
So the SAG-AFTRA strike is not part of this tentative agreement between the Writers Guild of America and the execs. So the Fat Caccios, Michael, have not managed to come to parley with the SAG-AFTRA strike, which is the Screen Actors Guild of America. In this particular case, Michael, TV dramas and comedies will experience more delays because the actors' strike is ongoing. What we're going to see, unfortunately, return first are all the bloody talk shows.
Oh no, that's the thing nobody wanted to come back.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that this strike has done, Michael, is really show you the kind of people that these late night talk show hosts and daytime talk show hosts are. One of the big ones coming back, obviously, is Tonight with Jimmy Fallon, but that is in the midst of massive hostile work environment accusations and just a generally awful vibe on set, Michael, apparently.
Apparently the only good one is John Oliver, which is incredibly surprising because he's English.
Yeah, and normally, Michael, traditionally, in our experiences, our bloody Sosnick senses are tingling. And we're there going, you can't fool me with your nice, cushy working conditions.
He seems to be the only nice one.
But the other person that kind of let fall the mask of humanity from capitalism, as it were, Michael, was Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore loves money, Ben.
She attempted to bring her show back only to have it picketed in the studio by the audience. And then she attempted to bring it back, and then she issued a heinous, Michael, apology video where she claimed that she's not a scab and it hurts her feelings to be called that, even though trying to bring your show back in the midst of a writer's strike is the very definition of a scab.
Yeah, if you don't want to be called a scab, maybe you should stop scabbing.
Maybe you should stop scabbing. And the irony of that, Michael, is if she had waited a week...
Yes, go on.
She'd be grand. She could have just gone back on television. It would have been grand.
She'd be all right. Well, anyway, Ben, so it's not going to bring back scripted stuff, so this is only half the battle.
It's only half the battle, Michael. They still haven't sat down with actors to guarantee any AI kind of things. However, the Writers Guild has secured an increase in royalties from streaming content.
Oh, hooray.
Yep. And assurances that the use of AI would not affect writers' credits and compensation.
Ben, you can assure anyone of anything. It's whether you follow through on it that matters. But Benjamin, be quiet for a second. Are the fat cats going to be paying for this?
Yes,
out of
Michael.
their own pockets.
Those bready little kittens are going to have to pony up a bit of dough, as it were.
Oh, good.
You see what I did there?
Very good.
See what I did there?
Because they're bred.
Because they're bred. That's it. You got it
That's
in one.
fabulous. That's
got
fabulous,
it.
Ben.
In
That is
one.
fabulous. Ben, go back to the running order. I don't know what's next.
What's next, Michael, is you get a bloody sense of professionalism.
Ben,
Yes.
the trailer for Percy Jackson came out 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And I definitely watched it.
Yeah.
But even when I was watching it, I was thinking, I think I've seen this already.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
But then since I watched that, I don't remember anything that happened in it.
Michael, all I could think
Yes, go on.
in 2023, I'm not sure we should still be throwing around the term Camp Half-Blood.
Go on. Why is that?
It feels, and maybe I'm just a victim of the liberal media, Michael. Maybe.
Yeah, you're a libtard in a way.
Yeah, as it were, right? A leftist cook, so to speak.
Yeah. A
it
real
just-
beta male.
It just feels distasteful to be throwing around the phrase half-bloods.
Yeah, but they're half god, half human. Then.
I know,
they're not
Michael.
like
I know.
they're not like half one race, half another race. Not like what your people used to call half bloods.
What do you mean, my people?
What do you mean? What do you mean, my people? Your people, the Protestants. Remember when, like, you'd make Catholics take the soup, and then you'd call them half bloods because they'd be half blood, half soup.
And we just careened around the countrysides in the only motor vehicles available in the country and went, very
good.
Look at them, a lot of them.
Benjamin, what's going on in Percy Jackson?
Michael,
What happened?
it's just another
what happened
adaptation of the Rick Riordan novels that apparently cut a swathe through the US book market. It was really their Harry Potter, Michael. I just missed the Rick Riordan hype.
Okay, I've never heard of him, actually.
Rick Riordan has written an entire sequence of Percy Jackson content, and Percy Jackson is loosely based on Perseus, the famous monster slayer, most famous perhaps for taking on the Gorgon and winning.
Yeah, you don't want, if you're a monster, you don't want a monster slayer in your gaff.
You don't want a monster slayer in your gaff. You're sitting there, Michael, and you're going, oh, maybe I'll just skip work today as a monster and I'll just roll over here, get some shit, and then boom, Monster Hunter's in the front door, and you're there going, oh, bollocks.
Exactly. Ben, when you say maybe I'll just skip work today as a monster, do you mean like a studio executive?
Yes, a fatcaccio, if you will.
Very good. Yeah, I don't even know how this ended up on this running order. I don't care. I'm gonna throw my hands up in the air, Ben. I'm gonna risk the wrath of the listeners, and I'm gonna say I don't care about Percy Jackson. I don't care. I don't care about Percy Jackson.
There's a rather interesting debate happening now, Michael, as is often the case in the world today. But one of the things that we're seeing in this trailer is they've diversified the cast of the Percy Jackson books. Now, this is important for a number of reasons. Number one, because the books were written back in the early 2000s.
There were no people of colour then.
Not a one, Michael. No, when Rick Riordan was asked about this, because he was asked about this, and he said, I wasn't really thinking about it. It was a very honest answer. And then they said, well, what are you going to do about it? He says, well, I'll diversify the cast in any adaptations that come up. And lo and behold, an adaptation has come up, and he has helmed a lot of this project in a way that he wasn't able to do with the 2000s movies. And what he's done is he's basically diversified the cast quite heavily. And the debate at the moment, Michael, is what a refreshing change of pace, where someone is confronted on the fact that their book is a little bit white, and they go, "Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even think about that because I didn't have an evolved worldview at that point because the whole discourse around diverse populations wasn't there."
Hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. But this is one of the most least controversial things to diversify, right? Because this is set in modern day cosmopolitan America, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Ridiculous if that's not diverse.
Absolutely.
Like, probably should be about 60% white, 40% other. But my understanding of American demographics is correct.
Absolutely. There's another very interesting case to be made here, Michael, in that Greek myth would have been very diverse. We have a very whitewashed view of it now, because a lot of the translations that we encounter are translated by white men at Oxford, as it were.
Well, that's a common enough complaint. But I don't know if it would have been that diverse, Ben. It's just everybody would have been sallow-skinned Mediterraneans.
Well, no, one of the main interesting things, based entirely on Perseus, Michael, Perseus went on to marry Andromeda.
Right, go on.
Perseus is famous for rescuing Andromeda from a sea serpent.
Go on.
He encounters her on a rock. And in the original translation, Michael, she's described as a very, very dark-skinned woman. And her kingdom is thought to be somewhere around the ancient region of Ethiopia at that time. Ben, however, yes?
Ben, when you say the original translation, that's contradictory.
The original texts, texts, Michael, not the original translation, sorry. The original text.
Is there an original text of this? What is the original text?
Well, when we talk about Perseus in particular, Michael,
yes.
The one that we're basing it most heavily on, hang on, I'm looking it up here. Don't you dare move on without me, you son of a bitch.
Okay. I'm hanging on there.
Just spin your wheels and call me a racist or something while I look this up.
No, I'm not necessarily saying you're a racist.
No, you can. It's fine. Just do something so that I can look it up.
I'm just saying that perhaps, Benjamin, the lens through which you look at something can never be written out. And sure, you could argue that white English scholars just assumed everyone was white and English like them. But you could also perhaps label the accusation that modern diversity first readings of things tend to look for the slightest hint that someone might have been anything other than standard Greek and run with it.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that on board, Michael. Herodotus is our original source for a lot of Perseus.
Right.
And then I'm afraid I'm having a very difficult... Homer also has quite a few references to him in the Iliad.
Oh, Homer Simpson, the famous character Homer Simpson.
Yes, Homer Simpson. Not the great Greek scribe, Homer.
No.
Homer Simpson. But anyway, Michael...
Ben. Yeah. Makes it diversifying a cast in modern day America just makes so much sense that it's barely even worth discussing.
I can't believe we got that much discussion out of Percy Jackson.
Yeah, let's stop talking about Percy Jackson now, Ben, because Nicolas Cage is in a new thing.
He is, Michael. Nicolas Cage is Freddy Kreugar.
Yeah, he's like boring Freddy Kreugar.
He's a very pleasant Freddy altogether.
So what's going on? Is this another one of these A24s that you're always forcing upon me?
Yeah, so this is another one of those A24 weird gigs, Michael, is what we're dealing with here. Nicolas Cage seems to have become a bit of an omnipresent dream deity.
Very exciting, because he's just a boring normal man.
He's just a boring normal man. That's the best part of this. Michael, this is a classic A24 bit. What if we took a schlub?
Yeah, John Malkovich.
And we put him in an extraordinary situation.
Being John Malkovich.
Exactly. This is very being John Malkovich, Michael. This is John Malkovich to a T. Being John Malkovich to a T.
Nicolas Cage is essentially playing John Malkovich.
Yes, but I think what's very important here, Michael, is he's not partaking. So he plays a college professor who suddenly finds himself appearing in other people's dreams around the globe. But what's important about this, Michael,
yes,
is that he's not present in their dreams.
It's nothing to do with him.
Yeah, exactly. An avatar of him seems to be appearing in other people's dreams, but he has no control and no awareness of whose dreams he's popping up in.
Brilliant.
Exactly. And what's happening is, Michael, he decides to cash in on this. I think we're probably going to have a classic midlife white mediocrity narrative where this man basically feels like he deserves some fame and recognition, and he leans into this despite several people saying, I don't know if that's a good idea because we don't really understand what's happening here and we don't know what people are dreaming about with you.
Why didn't you just start a podcast like the rest of us?
Why didn't you just handle your white mediocrity in the same way as the rest of us? Buy a set of microphones, schedule a bloody Google Meet, and just talk about stuff.
Yeah, Ben, I'd like to point out that your mediocrity has nothing to do with being white.
Oh, thank you, Michael. That's very kind.
Just for clarity.
Michael doesn't see colour, ladies and gentlemen. A fact that he reminds everybody as he walks down the street.
No, I do. I see bloody colour. Look at you. You're like a grey alien. You're so pasty these days.
We're not moving on to that yet, Michael. I'm not ready to move on from Dream Scenario.
Okay, go on. Keep talking about Dream Scenario then. Just fucking steamroller over my incredible segue.
It was very, very good. We'll come back to it in a moment. We'll have Nicolas Cage appear in your dreams tonight and say, that was great. That was great, Mick. Great.
Take
Loved
it down a notch though, Ben, because he's boring in this. He's just a normal man.
Yeah, it's true. He's Michael. This is a phenomenal look at Nicolas Cage. Has just gone full circle yet again. Not 2 years ago, Michael, we were seeing Nicolas Cage in bizarre knockoff Five Nights at Freddy films
with slick back dyed hair.
With slick back dyed hair, karate chopping Muppets.
Yeah,
and now we're seeing him in a kind of subtle take on virality on the internet, where people lean into a video they've become viral for without understanding the nature of the virality, and secondly, trying to cash in on it any way they can and not understanding that people are possibly laughing at them, not with them.
Oh, is that what it is? I didn't realise.
I think so.
It is clearly.
Yeah, I think it's a look at, you know, if you were filmed as a Karen, perhaps, and you decided to start a podcast off the back of that without realising, you know, the thing. Or even Salt Bay might be a more relevant example.
Bay. No, because or you know that old guy who's in the memes where he's kind of trying to smile but looks like he's grimacing from pain.
Yes, the old Swedish gentleman whose name escapes me.
Yeah, I think he's Hungarian or something.
Okay.
But yes, I know who you mean.
Yeah. So I think it's that. It's where people have overstayed or worn out their joke, Michael, like two white men who started a podcast 7 years ago.
Yeah, so long ago, Ben. Back when we did podcasts, Ben, only like a few people had podcasts.
TikTok wasn't a thing.
There was no TikTok even.
There was no TikTok. Andrew Tate wasn't even on the scene.
A glimmer in Jordan Peterson's eye, Ben.
Not even. But come here to me, Michael. Do you know who's been a glimmer in aliens' eyes for decades?
I don't know, the CIA? I don't know, where are you going?
Aliens, Michael. Aliens.
Oh, aliens. Okay, aliens. Ben, I love aliens, as you know.
You too.
I love aliens.
You're a huge
and one of
fan
my
of
favourite
aliens.
things that's been going on in the pop culture of the last few months is a resurgence of the alien abduction tales of my childhood.
Excellent.
Because, Ben, I tell you what, when I was a child, pretty much all I read were real-life encounters with UFOs. I was reading stories of World War II pilots seeing UFOs, Navy officers seeing UFOs, farmers in American Deep South seeing UFOs. No Irish people seeing UFOs.
Irish people don't see UFOs. They don't come to Ireland.
No. Wouldn't it be incredible if that's what it was? It wasn't that Irish people were either A, too sensible, or B, seeing fairy folk. That it was just that aliens don't come to Ireland. There's no point.
Pick your oddity blanket. Do you know what I mean?
They've got too much time. They've got too much to do harassing drunk yokels in the American South to come here. So anyway, one of the greatest things in the last few months has been the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Declassification of UFO documents.
Yes.
And obviously, most of the declassification of UFO documents are either saying, oh, we know what that is, or it remains an unidentified flying object, Ben. And there's no doubt in the world that UFOs, in the sense of the term of unidentified flying objects, exist.
Yes, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes there's something flying and you can't identify it.
Absolutely.
And that's an unidentified flying object.
Yes, a UFO, Michael.
Yeah, but they're not fucking aliens.
Absolutely not, Michael.
Not a chance. But anyway, Ben, it doesn't matter because the conspiracy lunatics now have declassified documents and people are getting to roll out their old stories again. And some of them are on Netflix.
Michael, do you know what's chapped my buns the most about this?
What has chapped your buns about this?
Is they've latched onto a brand new one, which is non-human biological material.
Horse jizz.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much, Michael. Pretty much. So they used to latch onto UFO, and then we've kind of roundly rationalized that one to be anything that we can't identify in the sky is a UFO.
No, Ben, we haven't rationalised it. That's what it literally fucking means. We haven't rationalised it to mean that. That's what those fucking words mean, Ben.
That's true. So but this new one, Michael, is non-human biological material. You're like, it must be aliens. It's like, no, we share the planet with several thousand creatures.
Yeah. It's just horse jizz.
Or a bird that hit the object at a fast pace.
No, just a massive splurge of horse jizz that, like, don't know where it came from. That's the real mystery. How much velocity is in a horse jizz? That's horrible.
A lot more than we thought. Anyway, Michael, this is Encounters, and basically it's their Ancient Civilizations 2 documentary. Yeah. And
can't wait, Ben. When I was but a wee lad, I loved Close Encounters. I loved Unsolved Mysteries. Cannot wait for people telling implausible stories about why aliens probe them come back.
But Michael, they know. Netflix knows because one of the voiceovers starts talking about an alien orgy in that trailer.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, Michael. They're just making a show of these poor people who...
They're just telling people stories, Ben.
Oh, is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing? No,
for profit.
They've never met a story they couldn't exploit, Michael. They've never met a story they couldn't exploit.
They're just telling people stories for profit and exploitation. That's all.
Do you know what I'd really hate, though?
What would you hate?
If I was in my house and, say, my alarm went off and I said, I don't really want to go to work today.
Yes, go on.
And I was just about to roll over, Michael, and then boom, somebody kicked in the door and it was a bunch of aliens.
Fucking aliens, and they're human hunters, and you famously are a human.
Yeah, well, that's no good.
Half-blood human.
Half-blood human.
Yeah, Ben, so I have seen the film No One Will Save You, which we only talked about a few weeks ago. It came out very quickly.
They have to, Michael. There's no point in releasing things in the cinema anymore because you can't get anybody famous to do any promotional material.
Very good. There's nobody famous in this, though, so that makes that pretty easy.
Oh, is there nobody famous in this?
Well, no, I don't think so. I didn't recognise the lead actress, and I've shockingly, Ben, because this is the kind of thing I give you hassle about, I've forgotten her name. So here's what we're going to do.
Come on.
We're going to discuss it a little bit broadly without going into spoilers.
Yes.
And then we'll go into spoilers.
What a classic podcasting conceit.
But here's the thing, Ben. There's something we need to discuss. And I don't think it's a spoiler, but it wasn't revealed in any of the promotional material, as little of it as there was. But you can't talk about this film without first kind of talking about the fact that it is a gimmick film.
Okay.
So I'm going to reveal the gimmick.
Okay.
I don't think this will ruin it for you if you're going to watch it, because it's almost kind of surprising that the trailers and the production doesn't really highlight this. But Ben, this is a gimmick film, and I'm going to do it now. Here it comes. So
I'm ready.
If you want to just see this movie apropos of no spoilers whatsoever, you're going to have to go now. The time code's below. But Ben, there's no dialogue.
Get fucked.
There's no dialogue in this whole film. Nobody's saying nothing to nobody.
No wonder they released it straight to streaming, Michael.
So, unlike, say, A Quiet Place, or John Krasinski's Everybody Shut Up Now, as you call it.
Yeah.
Unlike A Quiet Place, there's no plot reason for there to be no dialogue. It's about mood and atmosphere and tone and undercurrents.
Oh yeah, I love an undercurrent.
You do. So there, in some places, it's almost a little bit odd. It almost doesn't make sense for there to be no dialogue.
Okay, it's forced.
At times,
you might say.
it's a little bit forced sometimes. But you can't talk about this film without talking about the fact that there's no dialogue in it. It's a not completely. There are two phrases are spoken. They're spoilers, so I'm not going to go into them. But it is a completely dialogue-free film about a young woman who's going about her daily business in a town where she doesn't seem to fit in and nobody seems to like her.
Oh yeah.
And then, next thing you know, there's aliens in her gaff.
Get out of town. What are they doing?
And they are absolutely trying to get her.
Oh no.
Yeah. And are they only trying to get her, or are they trying to get everybody? Well, I can't tell you that without getting into spoilers.
This is very tough to do without getting into spoilers, Michael.
Yeah, no, it is very tough to do so without getting into spoilers. So I'm just going to tell you I liked it. As you know,
Okay.
my favourite genres in the world are normal Earth, oh no, there's aliens, what's going on?
Yes, you do enjoy that.
And this is that. So one of my very favourite genres and a really classic example of it, just, without any dialogue.
Okay.
So it's a classic alien abduction film. That's really, I recommend it. I enjoyed it.
Very good.
It's creepy, it's gross, it's exciting, it's tense, the aliens are weird and boogly, and yeah, it's good.
Well, that does sound very good, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you want to hear some spoilers now?
Yeah, keep going for me there, will you?
Because I can't give you any really thoughts without getting into spoilers.
Okay, go on.
So here's the spoilers. We're going to get into spoilers. Ben, they're just grey aliens. They're the grey aliens from bloody X-Files. They're the grey aliens from probably the TV show Encounters. They're the grey aliens from XCOM. They're classic grey aliens.
Okay.
And I tell you what, this is one of the dumbest invasions of a planet I've ever seen. It's a manual invasion.
What do you mean it's a manual invasion?
They're invading the Earth, but they're just sending aliens down to grab people.
Oh, that's a classic.
Manually, with their hands.
Oh, yeah. That sounds very effective, doesn't it?
No! It's dumb. It's so stupid.
I don't know. That sounds pretty genius to me, Michael. That's how I'd do
It
it.
works. It makes sense in a small town of about 50 people and you've got like 50 spaceships and you're sending one spaceship to just manually go down and get every person. But you can kick the shit out of the aliens, Ben. You can just beat them up.
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Oh, it's an invasion on the level of Signs.
Oh, Signs is pretty fucking bad. Do you want a drink of
But
water? Slap.
Imagine if instead of like in Signs it turning out that the water is poison to them or acid to them. Imagine if you didn't really need to do any specific planning. You could just kick the shit out of them.
That's mad.
It's like my teenage power fantasy, Ben. It's one of the ways I tried to stop myself from being afraid of alien abduction when I was a terrified child, by just becoming a toughie. So it's been my lifelong ambition, Ben, for aliens to break into my house and try and abduct me, but them to just do it manually.
Right.
So I could kick the shit out of them.
Just kick the shit out of them.
Just absolutely wreck their business.
Michael, come here to me. Lambaste me with spoilers. What's the symbolism of this? What's the crux?
It's odd. So I kind of didn't like this bit about it, but it seems to be that this young lady, Bryn is her name.
Yes.
She's from Wales.
Is she from Wales? Oh, I wish she was.
She's not from Wales, but I mean, Bryn is a Welsh name, isn't it, famously? But Ben, she seems to be some sort of social pariah in the town.
Classic.
And she has some sort of trauma.
Oh, no, not a trauma.
Exactly, Ben. And I think the message appears to be that the social isolation brought on by this trauma or brought on by whatever inciting incident caused her to be exiled from the town, essentially. That's what's really harming her. And the aliens trying to grab her are, a representation of the dangers of loneliness and isolation.
Oh, okay, I see.
Or something like that.
Okay.
But here's the big twist, right? It turns out the inciting incident was that when she was a child, she got into an argument with her best friend and hit her over the head with a brick and killed her.
Oh, goodness. That's very violent.
Very violent. But it has nothing to do with the aliens. And they keep kind of hinting at this great mystery of what's wrong with her and what's gone wrong in her life and why is she being targeted. But they're entirely unrelated.
Oh.
And then it has one of the single most mental endings of anything of all time.
Oh, yeah, does she wake up and it was all a dream?
They play that. They do a great "she wakes up and it was all a dream" scene. One of my favourite ever. She wakes up and it's all a dream scenes. Because, Ben, as you know, I was abducted by aliens as a young child.
You were.
And I had that waking up and it was all a dream moment. And they captured that, Mamma Mia, beautifully. Like a pizza napolitano, Ben. Oh, gorgeous.
Tidy.
But here's the mad twist. You want the mad twist? This is fucking mad.
Pure mad.
They get her.
Yeah.
They get her eventually. They sent down this big, huge, long, spidery fella. Like, he's like 3 Slendermans on top of each other.
Oh, we saw him in the trailer a bit, didn't we?
Yeah. She kicked the shit out of him. The first one. She absolutely fucking wrecks his day. And then they send another one after her. And how she doesn't just go, oh, okay, let's get on with it. But anyway, they get her in the end. And they bring her up to the space station, Ben, and they probe her memories. And that's how we see the flashback where she hit her friend over the head with a brick.
Okay.
And they seem to go, she's suffered enough. We won't assimilate her into our hive mind.
What?
We'll send her back down and we'll make everyone in the town look after her.
What?
So they body snatch everyone else in the town, but they leave her alone, and then they create a paradise for her where everyone in the town loves her.
That's very strange, Michael.
Yeah, so it doesn't... To go back to your question of what's the point, what's it about, haven't a fucking clue.
Yeah.
When it was just about there's aliens in your gaff and they're going to get you, albeit manually, I loved it.
That's very strange,
But
Michael, isn't it?
Its search for a message seems to miss the fucking point by a mile.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it means. I do not know what it means. Other than the aliens were absolutely rubbish at abducting small women.
Apparently.
Dreadful stuff altogether.
Dreadful stuff altogether, Michael. That's shocking.
Yeah. One of my favourite things about it, Ben, is that the aliens seem to be victims of other aliens, which is one of my favourite.
Oh, that's good.
There's actually other aliens behind the aliens tropes.
Oh, yeah, no, I like that.
So the grey aliens and the various forms of them, there's one that's like a little orangutan one. Okay. And there's one big giant spidery one. But they all seem to be being controlled by some sort of parasite creature.
Oh, no.
So that might be part of the reason they're so rubbish.
Michael, I fucking hate parasites.
Oh, they're in your neck, Ben, and they're all tentacles and they're going, yeah. Well, good though, I enjoyed it.
Well, that's something. You know, that's pretty good, Michael.
I enjoyed it. The meaning was rubbish, and it is a gimmick film. But it's still a good... There's some great shots. There's some really fabulous camera work.
It looked very well written.
Well, I don't know if it was well written, but it was incredibly well shot.
Sorry, it looked very well shot is what I meant to say, Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's some great shots of, say, you just see an alien's head peeping over the roof of a house.
Oh, well, that's good.
And you're like, was that an alien? And then he goes, nah. And his 2 arms stick up over his head, and you go, oh, it is an alien. And then he goes, nah, 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 nah. And he comes out from behind the house. And he wasn't on the house, Ben. He was as tall as the house the whole time.
He was as tall as a house the whole damn time.
And then she just kicked the shit out of him.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
I like it a lot, Michael.
An eminently survivable alien apocalypse.
Yeah, just fucking kick ass and eat bubblegum as soon as you're all out of bubblegum.
I don't know how they got anyone like competent and not alone.
Yeah, I mean,
because they make such a balls of kidnapping a woman who can't be more than 50 kilos on her own in the middle of nowhere. So how did they get like the sheriff's department?
Anyone with a weapon.
Anyone with a... You don't even need to be a weapon. She just kicks the shit out of them, Ben. Like, she beats them up.
You'd be a very hard time for them, Michael.
I don't know how they'd kidnap me. Honeyed words?
Maybe they just coax you in with a piece of
Yeah.
honeyed vocabulary.
Yeah. They'd be like,
And you'd be like, oh yeah,
Whoa.
come on, I'll come along with you. Oh yeah.
yeah. Can I see on the inside of the spaceship?
Yeah, can I have a go of the spaceship, please?
Give us a look at the inside of the spaceship.
I just want a little go.
A little go of the spaceship.
A little go. Come here to me, Michael. Come here to me. Michael.
I don't know why both of us found that so funny, but that was not amusing for the listeners. Just us increasingly childishly saying, I want to go with the spaceship.
I want to go with the spaceship. There's one listener somewhere kicking their heels up under their chair in delight.
Yeah.
They've enjoyed that with us. I don't know who it is. If you could write in and let us know, that'd be
Please do.
great. Michael,
What?
do you know what else the listeners could do for us?
What a fucking segue. Fabulous stuff.
We've been doing this podcast for a while, Michael. 101 episodes and counting.
Oh, yeah.
But shockingly, Michael, we still don't have that many reviews.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's not great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been enjoying this episode or you've been enjoying this podcast for a while, maybe.
Well, then what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, right?
First of all,
we keep this podcast advertisement free, not because we want to. Nobody will sponsor us. So what you could do for us, ladies and gentlemen, is get up on wherever you're listening, be it Spotify, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Google Podcasts, and leave us just a little review, just a teeny tiny baby review.
yeah.
Just
Save
let
us
us
having
know.
to sell out to Big Alien.
To big alien, big grey, googly oogly boogly aliens. Get in touch and let us know your favourite oogly boogly alien in the review. Just do it that way if you want. I don't care. Get up there, give us 5 stars wherever you're listening, or 4. We'll take 4, but I
No,
can't.
we won't. We will not.
I can't do lower than 4. My
No,
confidence
if it's
can't take.
if it's 4, Ben, they might as well come to our house and just spit in our open mouths.
You may as well be vampire hunters and us vampires if you're going to
Yeah.
leave us a 4-star review.
Oh,
That
please
star
don't.
is just 5 stakes stuck together. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Right.
In case you're fighting 5 vampires.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of fighting vampires,
Oh, what a rubbish segue. You've leveled that out now.
this week, Michael,
Yes.
we see the release of Castlevania Nocturne, the sequel series to the Castlevania anime that went for 4 seasons on Netflix.
Oh, it's a new series, is it?
Yes, it's a new series. It's a continuation of the story of the Belmonts. However, it is not a continuation of the story of Trevor, Sypha and Alucard.
Benjamin, you can't just throw out these names and expect me and the listeners to know what the hell you're talking about.
I know, Michael, which is why this week we'll be doing a little bit of a deep dive on the lore of Castlevania.
Now, that's how you do a segue, Ben. I'm available for seminars on segueing if anyone just wants to shoot me an email.
You're taking bookings now, are you?
I'll take bookings from Big Alien. I'll take bookings from anyone who wants to sponsor the podcast.
Right, Michael, this week we chose to dive on into this, and good God, Michael,
What is it?
the Castlevania thing's been gone for a while.
1986.
1986, Michael, saw our first ever installation of the Castlevania franchise. The game that...
Do you mean installment, Ben?
installation. No, it's an art
Oh, yeah.
piece.
It's an art piece. Very
Yeah,
good. Okay.
it's an art piece. You're right, Michael. I meant installment. We saw the first installment of the Castlevania franchise, the one that gave us a brand new way to play a video game.
Did it?
Well, not a brand new way, but we got the term Metroidvania and we combined that idea of platforming in that particular way. Yes?
I'm going to stop you there.
Aw.
I'm going to stop you there and I'm going to save you from the internet because they're going to get you
All
for
right,
saying
go on.
that.
You
Because the very first Castlevania was not a Metroidvania game.
shit.
Do you know what Metroidvania means?
Kind of.
So, Metroidvania is a term that came quite a bit later.
Yeah.
And it's a term referring to games which combine action platforming, exploration, and gradually getting further powers and keys and abilities that let you go back and explore the same area again and explore more of the map.
Oh,
and
very
so
good.
the map grows as your character grows in power and experience. Lots of games had concepts like that in the old days. Lots of, like, old games. Wonder Boy in Dragon's Quest, I think it was called, or in Dragon's World, on the Sega Master System had a format a little bit like that. Even the bloody Scrooge McDuck, even the DuckTales game on the NES had a format a little bit like that. But there was no term for Metroidvania, because the Metroidvania term only really came around from 2 games. And they were Super Metroid on the SNES, which is really the defining game of the series, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the Sony Playing Station and the Sega Saturn Station. And they're the 2 games that are generally considered the ones which, when you take them as a whole, are Metroidvania. But Castlevania, the first Castlevania on the NES, it's a Castlevania game, but it's not a Metroidvania, because it has 6 linear stages where you play from the start to the end. You don't backtrack, you don't increase your powers and go to new areas. So I'm only saving you from the internet there, Ben.
Well, Michael, you've made my job as a podcast 1 minute chunker much easier. That was a fucking top class explanation of what a Metroidvania is. Thank you very much.
But there'll still be people who say there's bits of that are wrong, Ben.
Yeah, well, look, that's the internet, Michael. The only thing they can't stand more than being racist and misogynistic is being wrong. And that's, you
can't be wrong on the internet.
Can't be wrong on the internet, Michael. That's not allowed. Not allowed.
Very good.
But anyway, come here to me, Michael. I had a little look at the deep lore here, and it all gets a bit confusing, Michael.
Go on.
It all gets a bit confusing. So you're absolutely right. 1986 is the first time that we see any kind of Castlevania. Yeah, and it's a great old time. That's Castlevania 1, theoretically, Michael.
Yeah, or also known as Castlevania.
Yeah, so Count Dracula is fully revived by the forces of evil for the 2nd time. And Simon Belmont defeats Dracula once more, but in the wake of Dracula's death is stuck with a classic old curse.
Oh no.
Now, Michael, the problem with launching a game based on the resurrection of Dracula means that you go, well, what happened to him the first time?
What happened to him?
What happened?
Could we see a prequel maybe where we find out what happened to him the first time?
Yeah, could we please find out what any of that is about? And then Castlevania's creators, Konami, went, yeah, well, look, I tell you what, we'll just go thousands or hundreds of years back and we'll go from there. It's like, no, that's not what I want. I just want to know what happened the first time. Why is he being revived? And they said...
You could take a pretty good guess, though, that he got beaten up by vampire hunters.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he got beaten up by vampire hunters, Michael. Which it's just not good, Michael.
They're in his gaff.
It's just not good. But it turns out, Michael, that is theoretically, right?
Yes, go on.
Theoretically, the first defeat of Dracula takes place in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Which was released 3 years after, 4 years after Castlevania 1, which was in 1990. So in this case, Dracula's been doing a bit of genocide of the human race.
Yeah, I'm still there. I think Castlevania 3 was 89. But let's just say something for the sake of modern gamers who've been born and have grown up in a world where games come out on the same day in different countries.
Yes.
The 80s and 90s were a very different world. And many times a game wouldn't come out for several years after it was released in Japan. It wouldn't come out in the West. And it may well come out with a different name. And sometimes even different graphics. And sometimes with a different number in the sequence. Because they might skip 2... And then when they release 3 in Japan, it's 2 in the West. So all the dates we're going to be saying are very much approximates. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
No, it's very good. But come here to me, Michael. Dracula's curse is quite important because in Dracula's curse, we're finally introduced to the magnanimous Trevor Belmont, Sypha Belmendez, and bloody Grant the Pirate.
Grant the Pirate.
Grant the Pirate.
Well, he's my favourite character.
Yeah, so this is the first time in the Castlevania franchise, Michael, in 1990, where you can kind of switch between characters as you play along. And then they eventually encounter Alucard as well. And Alucard is Dracula's son by Lisa Tepesh. Now, for anybody who's listening to me summarise that game, they go, oh, I've seen that before on Netflix. Yes, you have. Season 1 of the Netflix anime and a lot of the characters of that season is heavily influenced by Curse of Dracula from 1990. It's where we got the core cast of characters for season 1 of that particular anime. Now, Michael, that released in real time in 1990, but the game in canon takes place in 1476.
Fucking ages ago.
Ages ago. Now, 1476, Michael, is centuries before 1691, which is when the original Castlevania game takes place.
Japanese people have very hard time with the concept of a sun.
They don't like it. This got me scratching my head, Michael, because I have seen Dracula's Curse in the anime form, and that's fine. And they always go on about the Belmonts, Michael, and they say, oh, the Belmonts did this, and the Belmonts did that, and the Belmonts hate Dracula. And I found myself going, Michael, why? Why?
Who are the Belmonts even?
Who are the Belmonts even? And why do they hate Dracula? Michael, we had to wait a full 13 years after Dracula's Curse to find out who even are the Belmonts.
I thought they were just a bunch of Dracula hunting boys.
I thought they were just a bunch of vampire hunters in Dracula's house.
Yeah. Is that not what it is?
That's not what it is, Michael. So, Michael, this brought me down the rabbit hole of Castlevania Lament of Innocence.
Oh, yeah. So this is from the post-Symphony of the Night era of Castlevania games where everything had to be something of the something.
Exactly, Michael. Exactly. So this was released in 2003 on the PlayStation 2, and it is, in canon, the first installment of Castlevania.
No, it isn't, Ben. The first installment of Castlevania was from 1986. What are you talking about?
So, in this particular case, this is the origin story of the Belmonts, and so technically, on the timeline, it's the earliest introduction of the Belmonts.
Oh.
Yeah.
What were they called back then?
So they were still the Belmonts.
Oh,
The Belmonts,
disappointing.
The Belmonts have always been the Belmonts. Now, Michael, this establishes two important tropes.
Go on.
In the Castlevania franchise. Number one, Dracula's a tricky, tricky bastard.
Oh, he's so tricky.
He's so fucking slippery, like an eel. Like an eel.
Go on.
And number two, fuck me, you wouldn't want it to be a woman who knows a Belmont.
No. Yeah, straight in a fridge.
Straight in a fridge.
Now, there's no fridges, Ben, in the 1470s, but straight into the outside.
Michael, we might have to come up with a new term for what this franchise does to women, because I'm going to explain the plot of Lament of Innocence to you. Right?
Okay.
Leon Belmont.
A classic tough guy name from the Middle Ages.
A classic tough... Everybody was going around being called Leon. It was very common.
Yeah.
Leon Belmont, Michael, is a classic crusader smiting heretics for the Empire.
Oh, yeah, he's in a Warhammer, is he? He's Warhammer.
He's pretty much Warhammer, Michael. And then he has a good old pal called... I'm going to slip past me here. It's Matthias Conquistador. Or he has a V somewhere in his name that's very hard to get. But for the purposes of this...
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just watched Ben live diagnosing himself with dyslexia there.
Yeah. For the purposes of this, it's Leon and Matthias, and they're the best of pals. They're two pals, and they have a strong bond.
Did they ever kiss?
They don't kiss, but it's one of those heavily tensioned PlayStation 2 games that made a lot of young men question their sexuality.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's very slim and lithe, and there's a lot of whips. But anyway, come here to me, Michael. They're the best of pals, and unfortunately, when they come back from smiting some heretics, Michael, it turns out that Matthias's wife has died.
Oh no, of vampires?
No, she's gotten a plague.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, it's a classic plague. So anyway, Michael, he's very upset. He's very upset. And what we learn about Matthias is he was essential in the war, Michael, because he was a great strategist.
Oh, yeah.
With a genius-level intellect.
What was he doing? Was he saying, there's loads of Arabs over here, let's go and kill them?
Just go and smite them. And anyway, Michael, it's very sad, Michael. And then what happens is Leon is like, oh, I'm really sorry, but my wife is fine.
My wife is fine, and she fine.
She fine with a PH, Michael. She's fine with a PH. But then, Michael, wouldn't you know it, there's only vampires roaming around the countryside when the lads return. And wouldn't you know it, Michael, the vampire of the era is Walter Bernhard.
Classic vampire name, yep.
Classic vampire name, Michael. So many Walters in vampire mythology.
So many. This is fabulous. This must be how ridiculous it sounds to Japanese people when Westerners make up Japanese stories with Japanese names.
It has to be the same. It has to be the same.
Yeah. So Leon and Walter, anyway, yeah, go on.
So Leon and Matthias discovers this, and he goes to Leon and he says, oh no, your partner's been kidnapped by a vampire. And bloody Leon Belmont's not too happy about that, Michael. He says, well, that's me done with heretics. I'm bloody focusing on vampires from now on.
I'm mixing it up.
Right.
I'm following the algorithm.
So, unfortunately, Michael, by the time he tracks him down to the castle of the Castle of the Forest Eternal, right? Terrible name, because it's neither defined as a castle nor a forest. We're not really sure if it's a forest that looks like a castle or a castle that looks like a forest. We don't know. It's not made clear.
Sounds like a great place to have a game.
It's very obscure. Really, whatever you need. It's a bit like a room of requirement from Harry Potter. Yeah. So anyway, what happens is, Michael, he goes and he realises what's happened to his beautiful, beautiful partner. And Sarah is his betrothed. And he only goes and finds out he's too late. The vampire's after biting her.
Oh no.
Yeah, Michael. Which is kind of a classic, Michael, isn't it? The one thing I like about this is the vampire wasn't waiting for some obscure reason. He wasn't like, oh, well, I'll wait until Belmont enters the castle and then I'll give her a nibble. No, in this case, he was like, oh no, I drank her like almost immediately.
Straight down to biting. Straight in, no kissing.
Because that's what I do. I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
So anyway, Michael, he comes across the castle and then a series of classic Castlevania japes occur and he has to fight a bunch of monsters and he meets weird characters along the way who give him a hand, right?
So when you say he comes across the castle, then you mean like he finds the castle. You don't mean it in the sense of like a horse.
Oh no,
horse jizz.
That's no, yes, no. He doesn't spray the castle. No. So while he's in this, Michael, he encounters Rhino Gandolfini.
No, he doesn't.
He does. Rhino Gandolfini.
Oh, Rino, va bene, okay.
Okay, and Reno's an alchemist.
Okay, I thought you were going to say alcoholic.
No, he's not. He could have been, but he's an alchemist, right?
Reno's an alco. Right, go on, anyway, Reno the algo.
He comes across Reno Gandolfini, right?
Oh, Jesus.
And Reno Gandolfini says, oh no, my friend, you've made a mistake. You are trying to kill the vampires with the sword because it works on the heretics, but it don't work on the vampiro. No. And Leon goes, well, what does work then? He goes, the whip of alchemy. And he pulls out the whip of alchemy, Michael.
All right, okay. I thought the vampires were just fetishists.
No. He pulls out the whip of alchemy, Michael, right? And the whip of alchemy does a pretty good job, Michael. But then, unfortunately, he eventually reclaims his beautiful bride, Michael.
What's wrong with her, though?
She's already on the way to vampirism, Michael.
Fucking classic.
And we've just realised that old Walter Bernhard, accountant and vampire at law, he's pretty tough. And the whip of alchemy doesn't actually do a great job of taking him on. And he looks at Rhino and he goes, what the fuck? And Rhino goes, mea culpa, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But anyway, he does have
I'm
a
but
solution.
a simple merchant.
Yeah, exactly. He said,
and the racist stereotype.
And he says, but maybe there is something we can do. What you can do is sacrifice a loved one and they will go into the whip and the whip will be better.
Oh, that doesn't sound like a great deal.
It sounds fucking awful. But
bit Thanos-y.
Sarah, being the wonderful European countess that she is, goes, I'll do it. I'll go into the whip. And,
put me into the whip.
Yeah, and Leon goes, great, yeah, I need an upgrade. Cool, thanks. Yeah. So they perform this ritual and they transfer the soul of Sarah before it's corrupted completely to vampirism into the whip.
Oh, that sounds useful.
Now, Michael,
What
that
is it?
whip is the same vampire killing whip that is passed down from generation to generation to generation of Belmonts.
Oh, very good.
Every whip you've ever seen in a Castlevania game is the soul of Sarah inside the whip.
Classic.
Incredible stuff, Michael. So I think we're going to have to come up with a brand new term. Not only is this sacrificing a woman for the plot, it's making a woman's sacrifice integral to every single plot after. Stropping, maybe. Stropping the woman.
Ben, in the game Bionic Commando,
Yes.
isn't the bionic arm his wife?
That's worse. I don't know why that's worse.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it is.
But Michael, it gets better.
It gets better. Okay.
It gets better. Michael, you may have noticed that old Matthias has been oddly missing.
Where's he gone?
Michael, it comes to the end of it, and in fairness, the Sarah death whip makes short work of old Walter.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and Michael, then death appears in the game.
Oh, a classic Castlevania trope.
A classic Castlevania trope. And he says, I have to take this soul now of this vampire. And Walter goes, what? Me? And then he goes, yeah, I have to take it to my new master. And Leon goes, what do you mean your new master? And then, Michael, right over there behind the curtain, it's only old Matthias Conquistador.
Oh, that fucking sneaky fuck. I knew it was him.
Matthias Conquist. Bloody strategist at large. One half of the famous accounting firm Walter and Matthias.
Oh.
And he's there, Michael. And he goes, yeah, it was me all along. I've decided to take up a pact against God for taking my wife from me a little too early. And I've turned
Fair
to
enough.
vampirism.
Oh, I knew he was a vampire the whole time.
And do you know what?
Yes.
Leon? I'm going to make you a little offer. Why don't you join me?
Go on.
And Leon goes, get fucked, mate.
Get fucked, mate. I'm fucking played by Jason Statham.
I'm played by fucking Jason Statham. You made me sacrifice my woman on into a whip there, didn't you? Why? And that was a bit more Danny Dyer than Jason Statham.
It was a little bit.
But yeah, I'll take it either way. And he goes, no, I won't be doing that. In fact, my entire bloodline is going to dedicate themselves to taking you down, you son of a gun.
Yeah. I always loved that my bloodline was going to take you down, because like in reality that would never work, would it? Because I'm a disappointment to my parents. I know you're a disappointment to your parents. I know that for a fact. So like how would you ever get a whole bloodline to commit to tracking someone down?
You wouldn't, Michael. But come here to me. The best part is Matthias goes, oh yeah? And Leon goes, yeah. And he goes, oh yeah? He goes, yeah, well, I don't like Matthias. It's not cool enough. So from now on, you can call me Vlad.
Oh, he's Dracula.
He's Dracula.
Oh, that's dumb. That's so dumb. Now, you've nearly got me back on with the bloodline now, because you'd want to track him down for that being so dumb.
So that's who he is.
So-
Matthias Conquest.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, is Dracula. And Dracula goes on to be an absolute prick.
So Leon's talking to his son, and he's like, okay, son, you're going to be the next Dracula hunter. And his son is like, no, Dad, I'm going to college and I'm doing an arts degree.
I'm going to be in a
and
band.
I'm going to make my own way in the world. And Leon's like, now hold on a second. Can I just tell you that Dracula's real name is Matthias, and he changed his name to Vlad Dracula. And then his son went, fair enough then. Give me Ma in that whip.
It's shocking, Michael. It's
Great stuff.
shocking. So, we go from there. We get Dracula's curse, which is the original death. And that's Trevor Belmont, descendant of Leon Belmont, who takes care of that one. And then...
Oh, he's the one who finally gets him.
Trevor's the one who finally gets him in the end, Michael, with Alucard and Cypher Belnades, and they get hitched very much like they do in the series. But Michael, that's only the tip of the iceberg in the Castlevania canon. It's absolutely insane. We have to wait centuries for the events of Castlevania Nocturne to come along, because very, very famously, another character in the Belmont family, kind of one of the core characters, is Richter Belmont, Michael.
Oh, yeah, he's from Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, so he is. He comes about in Symphony of the Night, Michael.
Does he?
Oh no! Wait, hang on. I have that wrong. Sorry. Shame on me.
I said it.
You
Rondo
did.
of Blood.
Rondo of Blood from 1993. You're absolutely right,
Yeah.
Michael. Rondo of Blood, and Michael, that's 1792 in canon.
Okay.
So it's years
Actually,
and years later.
That's close to early modern.
It's close to early modern. We're very on the money. So this is the character here, Michael. And in this one, Michael, he faces off against the evil priest, Shaft.
Oh, yeah.
Who
John
is
Shaft,
the man that will resurrect Dracula? Shaft.
Shaft.
Da-na-na. So that's what happened there. And he's helped by Maria Renard, who's a young
Maria the
woman
Fox.
with kind of magical powers. And that's where we go from there, Michael. And those are going to be the events of Nocturne. Now, it looks like the anime series is loosely basing it there, Michael.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So Nocturne's going to be based on Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night.
Yeah. I don't know if we're getting Shaft.
Okay.
I hope we are.
Is it? It's going to be Richter, Maria, and Alucard.
I would say Alucard might make an appearance, but it is going to be definitely Richter and Maria.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
How exciting.
So that's what we're dealing with. But Michael, there's too much lore to cover in one podcast.
Absolutely, because we haven't even talked about what's the reason for all of the bloody monsters of an entire mythology are in Castlevania.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the Morrises.
We didn't even get to bloody Quincy Morris.
We didn't get to Quincy Morris, lads. What a joke. But we'll do this again another time, Michael. We might have to do it in November, because we've got quite the lineup over the next couple of months
For spooky stuff.
of spooky stuff, starting with an absolute classic for the first week of October, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be doing a little exhumed, but not on a movie this time, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be taking a look at Over the Garden Wall.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a look at that. And we're going to be starting our brand new Things Go Bump in the Night series, where we take a look at a bunch of Irish horror films.
How exciting.
Absolutely. The first one we're going to be taking a look at is The Hole in the Ground, all about a weird, bloody, creepy child.
Oh, a creepy child changeling sort of situation with Shauna Kerslake from Tala.
Yeah, from Shauna Kerslake from Tala, and directed by Lee Cronin, who recently did the Evil Dead reboot.
Yeah, and isn't from Tala, but is quite local.
But is quite local. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can tune into that next week. If you'd like to get in touch with us about this week and share your thoughts on how the Matthias and William accounting agency was run in Transylvania during that period, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can find us on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
It means something in Irish. Ben, who the fuck is William?
I don't know. What did I say? What was it supposed to be? I can't remember.
Walter, wasn't
Walter, it was Walter. Jesus Christ, I can't even keep my own podcast straight. Come here to me.
What?
Come here to me. You can also get in touch with us on our Acast website, which is Sherluxulous Podcast at acast.com.
Yeah, you can. I've never looked at it. You'll be talking to Ben.
You'll be talking to me. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get in touch with us on Instagram at Sherluxulous Podcast.
Yes, you can.
You can get in touch with us on TikTok at Sherluxulous.
You can. It's going very well, apparently.
Going just grand. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you can also get in touch with us in the most direct of ways possible by hopping up in the Discord.
Hop up on it. The link, as always, is in the description.
You're absolutely correct. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from us. I'm off to go and hunt some vampires in their own home.